everything that has been said to this point, opinion. You feel what I'm saying?
It's an
Please
opinion.
do your own due diligence.
Yes.
Please do your own research. Speak with a financial advisor. Speak with a professional. Regarding real estate, I am a professional. However, anything else, opinion based. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DHomerRealEstate podcast, where we focus on real estate, personal finance, and self-improvement, self-development. Honestly, anything to help you become a better person. I'll really appreciate it if you like, comment, subscribe, follow, download, whatever the case may be to help the algorithm. I'm still learning that, what an algorithm is. But with that being said, I am not your parent. I'm not your spouse. So do as you wish. Today on the podcast, I have a brother, someone who I truly look up to, someone who has helped me. And I guess we will get into it further into the podcast. None other than Eddy Kamau.
What's going on, fam?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How was your day?
It's just getting started. So good so far.
That's good. I also want to wish you, a happy new year. I hope you spend time with family and friends.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year. Here's to everything that 2022 is going to bring.
Absolutely.
Ready, excited.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So I want to start off with some icebreakers. It's not much. It's just 3 questions. That's want to, get to know you a little bit more, as well as the audience who are going to be listening to this. So the first question I have is, who are the top 5 men/women who they look for inspiration? I low-key butchered that, so I'm gonna say that again. Who are the top 5 businessmen/women that you look at for inspiration?
Wow. Kevin O'Leary. Okay. Warren Buffett, Kevin O'Leary, Jeremy from Financial Education, Graham Stephan from the Graham Stephan Show, and most likely Damon John from Shark Tank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want to start at FUBU?
Yeah.
I went to one of his seminars. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. The next question I have for you is, can you describe yourself in 5 words?
Focused, driven, funny, authentic, and the 5th word. I don't know. I would say
I'm gonna give you one.
Sure.
Caring.
Caring?
Yeah.
Caring would be the way I would describe my wife, but okay.
But you are caring. Honestly, behind that hard shell, you are a caring individual, especially when someone, I guess, that you rock with. Because I know you don't beat around the bush, but with people that you rock with, I know that you're a very caring individual, because that's how I feel about you. You know what I'm saying? That you've made a huge impact on my life, right? And
I appreciate that, fam. Yeah.
You care. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that you wouldn't do what you did. And the last question is a 2-part question.
Okay.
1, who is your favorite superhero? And 2, if you can choose a superpower, what would it be?
The first answer is going to be the second. It's going to pretty much lead way to the second answer. My favorite superhero is Batman, hands down. And if I could choose a superpower, what would it be? It would be super intelligence. With super intelligence, you can pretty much make anything. So some people would choose flight, some people would choose super strength, some people would choose, whatever. But if you have super intelligence, you can build a machine that helps you fly. You can build a machine that gives you super strength. You can build a machine that gives you anything, pretty much. So once you have super intelligence, you pretty much have everything else.
Okay. I was expecting the Batman, but intelligence, obviously, that's a definite great superpower. So now we've went through the icebreaker questions. I want you to share a little bit about yourself before I really dive deep into the questions, really just to tell people who you are, and I guess what you do.
Okay. So who I am, my name is Eddy, Kamau, as Dondre said. I am heavy into personal finance. So my personal background is actually psychology and theology. So that's what I studied when I went to school. And those two things don't actually have anything to do with why I got into finance, but they do help me understand the emotions of the market and kind of help me decipher how to invest my money further. So yeah, that's a bit of my background. I've been in the stock market for the last 5 years, but very seriously throwing in a lot of money for the last 3 years.
And that is awesome. I didn't know you actually went to school for psychology, so I kind of explained a little bit more of how you move and how you. This is cool. I like this. I like to be on this side, really, just to really dig deep into my guest. So the first question I really wanted to focus on is, you sharing your background, your financial background before you actually got into stocks heavy. What was your background and how did you get started into that?
Yeah, sure. So when I turned 18, I had an uncle who was very heavily in Prime America. And I also had a cousin who was also in the stock market. And I went to the Prime America session when I turned 18, because that's when you can do it. And I was bored out of my mind. I actually fell asleep. It was so boring. The only enjoyable part of it was the part where they were handing out these massive checks. I mean, ridiculous checks. And I remember there was this girl that was going to York University at the time, and she got a check that literally paid off her tuition. Like, it was like a $40,000 check. And that was the part that I was interested in, but I didn't care about all the selling insurances and all of that stuff. I didn't care about. And I think that that's what really started to pique my interest in the stock market. And when I asked my cousin, who had made like $500, this is like 2008 money. So, do the maybe like 750, 800 today. It's not a lot. But anyways, he had made, and by the way, if I'm wrong, don't comment and be like, oh, he's still off by inflation. Relax. It's not that serious. But anyways, yeah, it's not that deep. But anyways, he had made a good chunk of cash. And so I asked him how he did it, and he literally looked at me in my face, in the depths of my soul, and he said, "I'm not telling you."
What?
Yeah, told me, I'm not telling you. Oh, you thought he was the one who got me started? Nah. He's like, I'm not telling you.
Oh, wow.
He's like, figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, figure it out. And so from there, I just, started looking, kind of getting interested. I opened an account. I put in a very meager amount of money because at the time I didn't really understand stocks. So I felt like put in, which is still a philosophy today, in the sense that put in what you feel like you can risk, and because you never know, nothing is promised. Even the world's most successful companies can go down. I mean, in 2008, that time, oil stocks were the thing. Today, no one would invest in oil stocks as heavily as they did back then, right? Because we're going into renewable energy, electric vehicles, etc. But what really did it for me was, as I started to see money that I put in there grow a little bit, that was really what did it for me. And that was kind of what segued me into my marriage. And when I got married to my wife is when I started saying, okay, I started hearing about this thing called dividends, passive income. And that's when I earned my first dividend payment, which was a whopping 35 cents.
Jeez, isn't it beautiful?
I was freaking out. And at the time, my stock portfolio was maybe $100. So I was freaking out. And I think that was really what made me take it to that next level. That was what made me, and that was a $2 stock, mind you, right? It was like, that was the most, and I was only comfortable paying $2 a piece at the time. Fast forward to today, where I'll gladly pay $700, $800, $1,000 if it makes sense for the future. But back then, if you don't understand anything, any amount of money is next to nothing. Like if you don't understand the value of Jordans, telling someone you're going to pay $350 for a pair of shoes, they'll look at you like you're insane.
Like me.
Right. But it's the intrinsic value of it all. Why is a Versace watch, anywhere from $300 to $1,500?
Don't know.
But a Casio is $20. They're both watches. They both serve the same functional purpose, right? But it's the value and the branding behind it, right? And once you understand that, then you're willing to pay. I'm not willing to pay, but someone is willing to pay.
Exactly. You mentioned that you open up an account. If you don't mind me sharing, like, if you don't mind me asking, what was the account that you opened up? Was it what was back then?
Yeah, no worries. So it was a TFSA. And so for those who don't know, a TFSA is a tax-free savings account. It's an account that was created by the government to allow you to do what it says, to basically make tax-free savings. So a lot of people use TFSA as savings accounts, but they're not actually meant for the purpose of saving. Mm-hmm. They're meant for the purpose of investing, because if you use a TFSA and you invest any amount of money and you have capital gains, which is where buy low and actually sell high, mm-hmm. then that money would generally be taxed at a 25% rate. That's the rate, 25%. But if you have it in a TFSA, you have a sheltered limit with which you can buy and sell, and you're not going to be taxed anything. That's where the tax-free part comes in. And the sheltered limit actually starts from the moment you turn 18. And then if you don't use the contribution amount, they just keep adding onto it every single year.
Wow.
So that's the account I opened. And, so I've never been taxed in the sense that I've never over contributed past my limit. So I've never been taxed. Once you contribute past your limit, anything you contribute further, you're taxed steeply. That's why people have they have their TFSA, and then they have a general investment account, and then they have an RRSP. You should have an RRSP. And then if they have children, they have an RESP. So, yeah.
So you really touched on a lot. So with an individual who is new to this, or who's now just hearing this for the first time, like, what? Where do you, or who should you speak to regarding your contribution rate? And like, do you know anything about like how much, like how do they know what you can contribute and then the numbers behind that? Do you?
Absolutely, yeah, I do. So you can easily find out your contribution rate, so your actual limit, by logging into your Canada Revenue Agency account. You will have a Canada Revenue Agency account from the moment you turn 18. So once you create, if you don't have one, you can create one. They'll ask you for your social insurance number. It's a very secure process. They'll actually send you like a physical, tangible piece of mail to finish the registration process. Mm-hmm. And once you log in, you can actually scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and it'll show you what your contribution limit is for your RRSP and your contribution limit is for your TFSA. It shows you right at the bottom. So every year when you contribute, they actually subtract from that number. It's usually, if you've been 18 for a long time, so I believe this started in 2008. Mm-hmm. So if you've been 18 from then, you've been earning about, it fluctuates, but you've been earning around $5,500 a year in contribution space. So you would have, if you turned 18 in 2008, you would have about like maybe $60,000 worth of space to contribute money into, right? Obviously, if you turned 18 last year, you would have whatever the contribution limit was for last year, right? So, which would be like maybe 6,000, which is not terrible, right? Because I mean, anything you can get tax-free is a bonus. So that's how you'd figure that out, how you would get started. If anyone is getting started today, like you're in the new year now and you're saying to yourself, I've always wondered about this stock stuff. How do I get started? And maybe your first thought is to go to a financial advisor. You can. I mean, if you want the hands-free experience where you literally do nothing and someone is managing your finances according to their financial experience, then you can do that. Would I recommend that? No, because they take a percentage, right? There is, yeah.
I was about to ask like, why is that? And would you recommend that? Let's say someone who's brand new to this this wave of, stocks, would you recommend them just going into the deep end by themselves, or going to an advisor who, yes, may take a cut, but they're there to help you through the risks? Like, what is your thought on that? And also, like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it right there. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, sure. So you asked me who are the five financial people I look up to, and I mentioned Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett challenged the top hedge fund managers in America. He put a bet. So he bet them $1 million. You can look this up. It was in the newspaper. He bet them $1 million that they could not beat the S&P 500. He gave them about 5 years to do it, right? These are the top hedge fund managers, people Yale, Harvard, Princeton, the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know who won?
I'm assuming Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett won.
Yeah.
Because it's been proven time and time again that the market will always outperform and these are the best of the best. So no shade, no tea to anyone who works at any financial institution, but I'm pretty sure you didn't go to Harvard or Princeton or MIT. These are the best of the best. And if the best of the best of the world can't do it, I have very little faith in other people. And people may hear that and say, well, it's better them than them, right? And so they may say, well, at least those guys went to school for finance. They went to school for nothing. True. However, you can invest in index funds, which are a collection of stocks. So imagine a massive puzzle piece, like a 500 puzzle piece, right? Mm-hmm. And a big bowl. So each of those tiny pieces of that puzzle represents different companies: Apple, Microsoft, Nike, Samsung. You put it all into one bowl, and you can buy the bowl. And the bowl represents a tiny percentage of all of those companies. So you have maximum diversification at one price. And what people don't realize with index funds is that they're managed for you. So the company that you're buying the index fund for is going to do the job of a financial manager, except you have the authority to buy more of it anytime you want. So buy more like bowls or sell bowls. When you give your money to a financial advisor, they give you three choices: conservative, medium, or high risk.
Yeah.
And if you choose high risk, they promise you an arbitrary percentage, which they're human beings. They can't guarantee it. Mm-hmm. And they get paid. If they succeed, they get a percentage of whatever you make, which is usually like 2%. If they fail, they fail. At least when you're in control, you have the power to add more when you feel like it and kind of watch it grow. And when you do sell, in the case if you succeed, you're not giving anyone a percentage.
Oh, you're right there.
You're not. And yes, these index funds do charge a percentage to manage your portfolio as well, but it's built into the stock price itself. So you never actually see it. So I would rather manage it myself. And even if I want to take the lazy approach with self-management, buy an index fund that, for example, mirrors the S&P 500. And for those who don't know, the S&P 500 is the top 500 performing companies in America, right? So I can buy a stock that tracks the top 500 performing companies in the stock, which historically has returned 10 to 15%. And I can and it also pays dividends. And I can literally buy that alone and leave it on autopilot. So yes, I'm jumping in the deep end, but I'm jumping in the deep end with the 500 most secure companies in America, with top performing, right? Versus me giving somebody, a stranger, my money and them saying, I'll see what I can do. To me personally, I prefer the hands-on touch with my money because it's my money.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes too, mutual fund managers may have a minimum with which they want to manage. They want you to at least have X amount of dollars. Mm-hmm. You can get started in Wealthsimple with as little as $1.
Yeah.
Literally $1.
Exactly. That's amazing. And just to clarify, the index, that's an ETF, correct?
Yeah, it's an exchange traded fund. Yeah, same thing. It's both interchangeable. Yeah.
Okay. See, that's a lot of gems right there. I'm with you as well. I'm a person who likes to, I guess, take risks, right? So I'm a person who's like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna really trust anyone else with my money. Let me just try it myself. I know before I met you, Yes, before I met you, I dabbled into it, failed miserably. I'm gonna be completely honest, but it was amazing to see how my money was making money, and then also going through the trials as well because it's inevitable. So I definitely agree with you with that. You seem like someone who is just like was born out the womb with just a financial intelligence. But I want to know, like, were you always like this? Like, were you always like A1 with like your credit, with your finances? Like, you're laughing, so I'm assuming no. But like, I feel like it's good to know, or it's good to ask, because you know, again, I created this podcast for people who really just want to just grow and learn. We're in a new year 2022, and this is the investor mindset. So for individuals who are looking to develop and be better, I want them to see, like, okay, where did you come from? Because you're talking about Warren Buffett and all these studies, and I'm pretty sure you read a lot of books and you do a lot of watching of other podcasts, and things of that nature. But like for that individual who's just like, okay, what, I want to get into this. What is this thing? I'm hearing a whole bunch of cryptocurrencies, and we might get into that later. But like, were you always someone who's like, you know what, money? From the birth of Eddy, I knew everything about money. Like, talk to me about that background.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was not at all. Um, I remember in 2008 when the financial markets crashed, and I remember looking at real estate in America. I remember looking at real estate in America, and I remember seeing websites with pure foreclosures. I remember seeing this one four-bedroom house in America. It was $35,000.
Mm.
Okay, because people were just walking out of their homes. They were just literally walking out, like literally walking out and leaving that home empty. So
Mhm.
banks were desperate and I mean, I actually looked into a lot more. And I remember in 2008, I was working a lot. Like I was 18, so it was my first job. Very little overhead. The only thing I had to pay for was my phone bill, and I had a lot of money. So if you're making like $700 and you're paying a $20 phone bill,
Wow.
let's say $700 net biweekly, and you're paying a $20 phone bill, or even $500 net biweekly, so $1,000 a month, and you're paying a $20 phone bill, you still have $980, right?
Yep.
And back then I didn't believe in the principle of tithing. And for those who don't know, tithing it's a biblical principle, but it's a principle basically of giving 10% of whatever you make to charity, right?
Yep.
I didn't believe in that. So I really kept pretty much
A
everything
lot
I
of your
made,
money. Yep.
a lot of my money. And, I blew money on foolishness. I blew money on, I remember one of the most extravagant purchases I made was from this store called At Ease, which is like an urban store. I remember buying a dress shirt, and the dress shirt cost me $150, right?
Eh,
And I mean, $150 dress shirt today is
not
okay,
much.
it's
Yep.
fine, right? But back then,
Big money.
just yeah, it was, and it wasn't wearing it for like a suit. It was like, because that was the style back then, to wear dress shirts with jeans, right? Overly sized 3X, 4X, 5X jeans. And so, no, I wasn't always good with money. I remember when I got my parents don't have any financial background. Like they own a home, but they don't know anything about credit
Mhm.
like that. So they didn't teach me, this is what a credit card does. This is what credit means. They didn't teach me any of that, right? So when I got my first credit card ever, it was a $500 limit from CIBC. And I only actually increased my credit limit because my mom asked me to borrow some money from it. And so, that was a long, slippery slope that
Yeah.
took I didn't even know how to check credit, because back then there wasn't as many services to check credit for free. Like right now you have Borrowell, you have Mogul, you have Credit Karma,
Yep.
all of those websites are free,
Even your bank
right?
now.
Uh,
Even your bank now offers.
even your bank can do it now for free. And back then the only real way to check was Equifax, and Equifax and TransUnion, outside of their $4 or $5 for the first month, they're like 20 something dollars a month. And I could not justify that then. And I certainly don't justify that now. Um, but I was terrible. And I remember what really got me in the hole was I joined God, what's that gym called? Not LA Fitness, Win Fitness. I joined Win Fitness, and it was like $56 a month, which is not terrible by today's standards, because that's right around where good life is the normal now. But back then, that was pretty steep, right?
Yeah.
And I put it all on my credit card. And with Win Fitness, they don't care if you're over limit; they'll still keep charging you. So yeah, credit cards don't have it's not like a debit card where once you get to zero, they stop you. Then they keep going. Right? So I managed to, I canceled my credit card, not realizing that if you cancel your credit card, it doesn't matter. They could still keep charging you.
Call them, but no one cancel with them.
Yeah. So they kept on charging me, and I ended up going from $1,000 limit to around $2,000. So like this was $1,000 overdrawn.
Wow.
Yeah, $1,000 overdrawn. And then from there, the interest. And when you're used to paying like $10 a month in interest, which is the base rate, right? The minimum, right? When you go over your limit, they don't actually tell you how that $10 changed. So it went from like $10 to like $50 to $75 a month. This was the minimum. And banks back then banks didn't do what they do today. So there was a law passed a few years ago that banks have to tell you how long it's going to take you to pay your card off if you're paying the minimum. Yep. So if you look at your financial statement, it actually says if you pay the minimum, it'll take you this many years, this many months, right?
Yep.
To finish everything. Exactly. So I was just paying the minimum, and I believed that in paying the minimum, I was doing something. I was doing nothing. I was doing absolutely nothing. And so, I just kind of I kind of always believed that I would be in debt with that card. I always believed I would be in debt. Like, I don't know why. I just felt like I would never come out from that, from that $3,000, because it grew to $3,000 from that $3,000.
So sorry to interrupt. So you started from 500, then you increased it to 1,000. And then after that 1,000, because of, I guess, you kept on being charged, it was, you grew it up to another 1,000. And then now you're telling me it went from 1,000 to 2,000. Now it's another 1,000.
Another 1,000. Yeah.
500. Can you imagine?
Yeah. It was insane. And so, I remember when I met my wife, because I met my wife 14 going on 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so I met her with the debt. We started dating with the debt. And then I remember we got married. It was the first year we got married. So I had started investing, as I mentioned, and I got a huge tax return. I mean, massive, and massive by those times, Yeah. And so I had started tithing seriously, right? And so after I had started tithing seriously, I had just enough to clear the credit card.
Okay.
Right? And so, and I remember talking to a friend of mine, and this is why you have to be careful what you have in your circle. I remember talking to a friend of mine and telling her that I was going to use a large majority, if not the whole amount of the remainder of of the tax refund to pay off the credit card. And she said to me, "You're not even going to have fun? You're not even going to enjoy yourself a little bit?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I need to pay off this card. And at that time, my credit was like 650, and it had stayed at 650 for the longest. And I began to even believe my credit couldn't go up because it just had been there for so long.
Yeah.
And so when I paid off that card, my credit jumped like 80 points.
Yep.
Yeah. Like like as soon as it was settled with the bank, it jumped 80 points. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And then that was where I really started to take my credit seriously. It's like some people say you should check your credit every 3 months. Some people say every 6 months. I checked it with Borrowell. And I should be sponsored by Borrowell, but I'm not sponsored by Borrowell. But Borrowell updates your credit every 7 days.
Yep.
So I literally get an alert on my phone every 7 days telling me, Yeah, the notification
Upgrade.
telling me, exactly. And Borrowell does the job of, TransUnion or an Equifax in that they give you a clear credit report that details everything. So if anyone tries to take out anything in your name, if there's anything in your name you forgot about, it's all listed there. It even has credit cards that have long since been closed. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing too that I learned along the journey that actually hurt my credit even more. I had two other credit cards except for my CIBC card. And when I was paying them off, because I paid them off right the year before, even though I had this 3,000, I had actually gotten like a Capital One card and I had gotten a MasterCard from UFT, and I paid them off and closed them. Never, ever, ever close any credit card accounts. It hurts you so much.
Tremendously. Trust me. I know off of personal experience. And I'm happy. I appreciate you sharing, and you being open with your actual number with 650. Me and real estate, I deal with people who may have a much lower than that, who have inquired. But I think you kind of shared a tip of how to actually help your credit go more and help it grow, which is pay off your debt, because with your utilization rate.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It really hinders you a lot. And I learned that when I worked at the bank, because can you imagine? I worked at the bank. And when you work at the bank, they kind of give you a little bit more flexible with you. Right? Let's just say that they're a little bit more flexible with you. And I applied for a credit card, and the man said I got denied. And I'm like, what? I work for you guys. What do you mean I'm denied? And then I went to speak with a gentleman, because I was speaking with one of my managers at the time. And one of the things that he said was, he's like, yo, you don't have bad credit. And from what I see, you don't have bad spending habits, but your utilization rate is a little bit
insane. Yeah.
It's a little bit too much. He said, I promise you, if you were to pay off this, and this, it's going to skyrocket. And that's exactly what it did. So I want to, thank you for actually being willing to share that number. There's so much I want to get into, but I want to move on with this question here, because I feel like you're about to touch on it a little bit. When I want to ask, what was that pivotal moment that was like, you know what, that changed the trajectory of your financial life? So you have this $3,000 limit. You're able to pay that off. And you now starting to see your credit jump. And for those who don't know, I wanted to start a business called Rise LGI. And the reason why I called it Rise was because I used to go to school for cooking. And if you're baking a cake, baking bread usually, there's usually that one component that helps, the bread grow, which was yeast. So
yeast. Yep.
My question is, what was that yeast that in your life that helped you? It was like, you know what, I'm gonna grow, and then I'm gonna learn from this.
Yeah. That yeast was, so I gotta go back to the top 5 people that you asked me. I found this guy on YouTube. His name is Graham Stephan. Yep. And this guy was, when I found him, Graham is like 30 now or 31. And when I found him, he was in his late 20s and he was a millionaire. And everything this guy talked about when it came to real estate and the way that he just broke things down. Shout out to Graham Stephan. If you watch this, love you.
Shout out to Graham Stephan, because I love you too. So
if somehow the YouTube algorithm gods get this in front of you,
flow. Let's make it flow.
So when I found his YouTube channel, that was really what made me start changing my mindset about what money can do, because this guy was a high school graduate who turned real estate, a seemingly regular job into an empire, and maybe some people who know Graham may be like, yeah, I'm overselling it. No, but this guy is extremely knowledgeable about the art of real estate. And when I found his channel, it made me start shifting my mindset about how I believed money could work, because with Graham, he didn't come from extreme wealth into extreme wealth. He built the wealth that he had himself. And after finding Graham, I found this other channel, financial education, with this guy named Jeremy. And I would say it would probably the two of them in conjunction, but more so Jeremy, that made me really change my mindset. Because this guy went from working at Walgreens, and if I'm wrong about that, that's just terrible because this guy's on. I look up to this guy, but he went from working at Walgreens. He went from teaching people how to read income statements for like $10-20 to creating this multi-million-dollar empire. And this guy did it through stocks and real estate. And it made me realize that if you take the money that you have right now, whatever you make, let's say you make 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 6,000, whatever you take, if you take that money right now and you make your money work for you, like money doesn't need to sleep, money doesn't need vacation times, money doesn't get sick, money brings more money if you put it in the right places. And there are companies that have been alive for longer than we have been, and they will be alive much longer after we're gone, that have made money on successful business models. Like, for example, one of the categories that people don't know about, but they should invest in, is you should invest in consumer staples. So what are consumer staples? Consumer staples are essentially stocks that are recession proof. So what will you need in a recession that you will need outside of a recession? What will you always need? And a company that immediately comes to mind is Pepsi. No matter what, if we were to have a recession right now, people would still drink Coke. People would still drink Pepsi. Okay. People would still buy Lay's chips, which is owned by Pepsi. People would still eat oatmeal, which is owned by Pepsi, right? So these companies are essentially recession proof in that they will always make money. Whereas if you look at, other companies that are, if you have a little bit more money, you'll spend on, whereas which are your like luxury goods. If you look at luxury goods last year, luxury good companies in the stock market got destroyed. Nordstrom got all the way down to $13 last year because people believe that in the beginning of this thing, I'm not going to say it because I want you to get monetized eventually, but in the beginning of this thing, people believed that no one would ever shop consumer goods. The casino stocks, Wynn, MGM, decimated. Decimated. The stocks were decimated. MGM was $17. I remember looking at it last October. It was $17 a share. Look at it today when you get a chance. And so, it really goes to show you that, you have to invest in companies that are going to be recession proof if you're going to build that type of portfolio. And these guys showed me that because Jeremy started investing in 2008 in the height of the biggest, the biggest recession ever. Yeah, people were looking at it and saying it's over, right? And not the biggest recession ever because obviously past. Black Monday. Yeah, but it was one of the big boys, right? Sure. The last one was 1984, but so that was really what made me change my mindset and seeing how they invested, because they are very transparent about their portfolios, about what they own, about how much money they have in what they own, and their reasoning behind what they own. And I think that that's what really made me start shifting my mindset and saying, hey, and this other guy named PPC Ian, unbelievable dividend investor. Mm-hmm. Those guys are the ones who really made me start shifting my mindset and make me saying, what am I doing? Do I have extra income that I can put towards this? And I believe that the best investment you can make is paying yourself. So if you give to charity, the next thing you do is pay yourself 20% and then use that 20% to invest, because you always have it. You do. You just got to figure out what you don't need in your life and make it work.
And you see right there, because you said something, make your money work for you. And I think that's like the new trend now in this investing era. And I feel like I want to make a episode of just the investing era, because I see now everyone is, cryptocurrency is booming right now. The stock market, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've gotten some individuals who shared with me that the stock market is not really booming. But obviously, I don't really listen to the outside noise. I go based off of my personal stock account and seeing everything go up. So I'm not really worried about that. But then you also see like, you know, these MLM companies with Forex and all that type of stuff. But everyone is boasting about this, make your money work for you. And you mentioned that, oh, if you have 20,000, 40, 20,000, 30,000, $40,000 you make annually, that you can put how much percentage away to help you start?
You could put 20%, like let's say using the $20,000 model, right? If you break that down, $20,000 is what? Like less than $2,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
So if someone is making, let's just call it $1,500 a month, and you have to, okay, ask yourself this. How much is your phone bill? Not you, but
No.
whoever's watching, right?
Right now, these phone bills are out here out of this world.
They're insane. But what I'm saying
80,
is like
80%, $80. I mean,
okay, $80, right? So my phone bill is $32 after tax, right? I've been with Wind. I've been with Freedom Mobile, you know, previously known as Wind Mobile, since 2000. And, okay, whatever. I've been with them for a long time. But what I'm saying is that a lot of times that people have these high phone bills, it's attached to a premium phone. So you're not gonna walk into Rogers with your own device and they're gonna sell you an $80 phone plan. You're not going to do that. You're gonna walk into Rogers and say, I want the iPhone 13. And they're gonna be like, cool, we can give you the iPhone 13. It's this much a month, but you have to get it with this phone plan. Yeah. And a lot of people are gonna say yes. Now, I'm not saying to downgrade to a iPhone 4 for the purposes of investing, but here's my question. Are you going to wear your wealth, or are you going to have your wealth build? Where do you want your wealth to be? Do you want it to be tangible in your hands and you can see it? Or do you want it to be intangible in the sense that people can't see it, but you know it's building in the back and behind the scenes? I think it comes down to priorities, to be honest with you. After I left, and this is why I'm with Wind Mobile. After I left Virgin Mobile, which was the last contract company I was with, I said to myself, I will never, ever, ever be on contract with a phone, ever. The first phone I ever bought with Wind Mobile was a $50 phone. The phone was $50. I bought it from the store, and it literally was one of those cheap slide-up phones. That's it. That was the first one I ever bought because I needed to have a plan that I could get. And I was roasted quite thoroughly by my friends every single time. I would actually even hide the phone in my hand, and I'd hide it. I wouldn't try and bring it out. But eventually, I was able to upgrade and buy a Samsung. Eventually, after that, I was able to upgrade, etc., and upgrade all the way to the phone that I have now, which I bought cash. Every single phone I've ever had, I bought cash. And I get it. Some people will say, well, that's a little bit unreasonable. If I'm trying to buy the iPhone 13, I'm not going to pay $2,500. Why do you need to get the iPhone 13? You can get the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 9. And the good thing about phones is that with phones, or the iPhone 10, sorry, there's no iPhone 9. But the good thing about phones is they depreciate so immensely. So a phone that's $2,000 today, next year, maybe $1,000. The year after that, maybe $500, right? So you don't need to have the latest phone, because with the stock market, the only thing that we all share in common, the thing that I share in common with Warren Buffett, you share in common with Warren Buffett, that he shares in common with Jeff Bezos, is we all have the same 24 hours. Yeah. If you're a billionaire, you can't get 25 hours. If you're broke beyond belief, you can't get 20 hours. We all get 24 no matter what. And if you have the same amount of time as those guys do, the thing that you can do to maximize your wealth building is just put your money in the markets. There's always, you mentioned that someone told you that there is an opportunity in the markets right now. That's not true. There's opportunity in the markets always, but you need to know where to look. For example, and this is not financial advice, this is a disclaimer. This is not a financial advice. Please.
Before I'm about to say that, everything that has been said to this point, opinion. You feel what I'm saying?
It's an opinion.
Do your own due diligence.
Yes.
Please do your own research. Speak with a financial advisor. Speak with a professional. Regarding real estate, I am a professional. However, anything else, opinion based. Like,
Yeah, everything is completely opinion based, and just because it worked for me or Dondre, don't mimic it, please. But anyways, so for example, right now, I'll give you a really good example. One company that I am invested in heavily, and I believe is going to be an incredible company in the years to come, is Honest Company. Honest Company is Jessica Alba's company that she started pretty much when she had children, and she was looking for products for children that were, chemical free and basically the healthiest versions of products. So if you haven't checked it out, if you've never heard of Honest Company before, Google them, check it out. So what right now, and there have been studies and a lot of articles that are coming out that are saying that we're about to be on the cusp of the millennial baby boom, which means that in the next decade, so from 22, where we're at now, but basically from 2020 to 2030, there's going to be a whole bag of children born. And a lot of millennials are waiting longer to have children, which means that they're building their careers a little bit more. So they have a little bit more finance, as opposed to when their parents had children in their early 20s. They're waiting till their mid 30s. They have a lot more money. When you have a lot more money and you're trying to look for something for your child, where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Johnson & Johnson, which has publicly, lawsuits for cancer with their talcum powders, which are used for children? Are you going to go to any of these companies which have been, dragged through the mud? Are you going to do that? Or are you going to go to the cleanest company that you can, cleanest, most natural company you can find, which is Honest Company? And Honest Company is already releasing and producing insane results with their latest quarterly report. They're doing really well. So I'm invested in them because I see it as a, opportunity 2x, 3x my money in the next decade, right? That's an opportunity right now. Honest Company has been a very beaten down stock that, people should do their due diligence and see, right? One thing about companies like Honest Company, which don't pay a dividend, by the way, they're growth companies, is you buy them because you see the opportunity for growth. A lot of people will say, oh my God, if I knew about Amazon, if I knew about, Tesla when they came out, I would have done this. If I knew about Bitcoin, I would have done this and done that. Yeah, no, those people were alive when those things came out and they brushed it off. And a lot of people will brush off Honest Company right now as well. Mm-hmm. And then in the next decade, they'll be talking about if they knew.
Yeah.
It's always about, risk versus, and this is one thing that Jeremy says all the time, is risk versus reward. How much reward do you stand to gain? And at the end of the day, a lot of people, and I've run into a lot of people who will not invest in the stock market, but they have, savings accounts. They have, 5,000 saved, 10,000 saved. Cool. But you're fighting against inflation. Mm-hmm. Inflation is typically 2%, right? So what that means is that whatever you have in your account is going to be worth even if it's still the same 5,000, it's going to be worth 2% less because everything else is going up by 2%.
And that's very that 2% that you're saying is very conservative. Like what inflation is right now, and especially like in the climate that we're in right now, you're looking at good 3 to 5%, and especially now with goods going up now with the prices, because especially we're trying to let's just say we're in a very interesting time. That's all I have to really say it, because we're seeing it now in real estate. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing it now in so much different markets. But yeah, I wanted to also tap onto something that you also said earlier. Remember, and just bring it back again, because I feel like this is very important. And you said, what are your priorities? And I get this a lot. I had a not a heated conversation, but I had a conversation with, a family member regarding this. And it's about like, what are your priorities? It's so easy for people to say, but it's hard out here. I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing overtime. But I just don't see any growth or any way I can chime in. And my question to that individual was, okay, with that money that you're getting, what exactly are you doing? So, um, my the individual brought up a scenario of, um, let's say an individual has children. And I said, okay, this is gonna be challenging because I know it's gonna be very controversial because if it's let's say a single mother with four children. And my question was, and again, I I'm not here to down anybody at all, but my question is, my response was, sorry, do you know the government pays you to have a child? That child tax benefit, what are you doing with that money? So you have your job on top of the government paying you.
Giving you a child tax benefit. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so your child has Gucci shoes, your child has Jordans, but you are still struggling. Okay, this is, and it goes back down to your priorities. Now, I'm not saying not to, spoil your child, or I'm not saying to, you know, don't put shoes on their feet, on your child's feet, or feed them. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that, okay, with that money, that free money that the government's giving you, why don't you do something like life insurance? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but like, because I could be honest and say, like, okay, with my wife and my wife and I, our son, what we do with that money is life insurance. Instead of going shopping and spending money on food, which is a detriment to me because I spend a lot of money on food. Why don't we get life insurance? So let's say, God forbid, anything were to happen to us, we don't have to start a GoFundMe. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're. It's funny. I had a similar conversation with someone. I think it was even. I think I also brought this up to you as well. That's such a key point. It goes back to what I was saying. A lot of times, in a lot of people's lives, who they say they don't have the money to invest, they're wearing their wealth. These are the people who will have the Guess this, the Versace that, the Gucci this, etc. And to your point, yes, it's not a bad thing to have nice clothes, but you're always, one thing that I always like to think about is I always think about two things specifically. One, budgeting. Budgeting is key. Budgeting is not a bad word. And if you actually have a budget, the app that I use is called Every Dollar. Shout out to Dave Ramsey's incredible app. You'll know where your money is going. That's number one. Number one, you have to do that. You have to really budget out your cash. If you have children, let's just stick with that for a second. If you have children and you say, if someone says, okay, they just have just enough, they have absolutely no room to invest, then that, and their children have high-end items, then are you saying then that the Jordans, they'll outgrow the Jordans, at a slower pace than they'll outgrow Walmart shoes? They're gonna outgrow them at the same exact speed. Like it won't matter, right? So you're saying $100 versus $20, and it makes more sense to spend $100 for something that they're gonna outgrow by next summer versus spending $20
in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, you see what I'm trying to say?
Growing,
and especially now during quarantine, where you're not going anywhere, why are you spending on extravagant things? I think that what you said was really key, kind of focusing, I'll come back to the other point later, but kind of focusing on what you said. What sacrifice are you willing to make?
Yeah.
What sacrifice are you willing to make? And with everything, there's an opportunity cost. And I talk about this all the time with my friends. You may not buy something today, you buy it tomorrow, and tomorrow it's $20, and today it was $10. So you're paying the opportunity cost of an extra $10 because you chose to wait an extra day.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And that's how the stock market works. I was looking at NVIDIA this morning. For those of you who don't know, NVIDIA is a chip maker, and they are a huge, huge, huge part of the gaming world.
Yeah.
They are a huge part of the gaming world. I was looking at their stock price today, and it was around 3. So it's in the 3s right now, right? And so in 2020, the price was $40.
Oh my gosh. So if you
$40.
my goodness.
$40 US. Okay. So this has been pretty much throughout the whole of 2021 into early 2022. You would be sitting in that 7x range. You would have 7x your money buying 10. So if you bought 10 shares of Nvidia in 2020 for $400, those same 10 shares of Nvidia would be worth 3,000 US dollars.
Look at that. Then you could buy your Gucci and Versace.
Then you can exactly. And I have no problem with people using their returns from their invested capital. So you're using your profits to spend. I have no issue, but the problem is a lot of people want to spend their actual main baseline, and you can't spend. Yeah, you can't spend your main baseline, and there are always opportunities like that in the stock market. That was only what, we're in our second year of that happening. So it's not like, some people say, well, it would take so long. You couldn't have waited a year to 7x your cash.
But honest to goodness, I don't think people can wait a year, because I feel like, again, because of this investor era with scams and all these things, people want to live that luxury life. And I really do want to invite someone to really talk about the investor era, because like right now, we are in a microwave generation, as we are.
That is true.
We all know that. So when people see money, we don't want to wait that one year or that 2 years, because it's like, yo, I don't know if I'm gonna be alive in the next 2 years. You don't know, right? And I feel and is that opportunity cost? I feel like, individuals, and I can't. You know what? I'm gonna stop saying individuals. I'm gonna speak for me. Before me getting into the stock market and me, studying under you and learning, and obviously doing my own due diligence, and really just learning the game of money, so to speak. That word opportunity cost, sometimes you look at it, okay, I'm hungry now. Do I want to wait this 20-minute drive to drive home and make myself a peanut butter sandwich, or should I just hop in the drive-through at Tim Hortons or McDonald's or any fast food restaurant to buy food? And for me, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna spend that X amount of money, that 20, that 15, $10 to $15, maybe $20 on food. And then I was looking at myself like, yo, why do I never have money? So I had to look at myself and be like, oh shoot, this is where I lack. As I've said in my my previous episode, I'm 200 and God knows what pounds, you know what I'm saying? And so food was my hindrance. But as I continue to mature and really look at, okay, my current situation, my stance, I had to look at it and be like, you know what? I'm gonna have to sacrifice. There's a few things I'm gonna have to sacrifice, and I have to really push to the side. But that opportunity cost for some people is not as real to them. I don't even know how to put it. Like, it's not real to them, where they have that extra income, but it's like, you know what, I'm gonna live for today and not think, 2-3 years down the line. But what you're saying, and I want to hear your input, is like, with just a little bit of patience, you can truly see a huge shift in your financial life with just one decision. Tesla, yeah, you're the one who showed me this term, Teslaneers, is a real thing now, because people,
it's a real thing.
So I want to hear more of like what you're saying, of like people with the opportunity cost, and how can people really change that, like change their mindset and have that paradigm shift.
I think it comes down to what I was saying earlier about paying yourself. If you can have, so let's say someone makes, going back, I really like using numbers, because when you use numbers, it kind of helps bring things into perspective. So you said there's a 3 to 5% inflation, more away from my 2%, for my 2% number. So, okay, so what's 3% of $10,000?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people are going to be like, 3% of $10,000
Is that 3,000?
is $30.
Wait, 10,000?
Yes.
3%.
No, I'm wrong. 3% of $10,000. Sorry, 3% of $10,000. Yeah, no.
It's
10% is
$30.
$1,000. $300, $300,
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me just
$300.
calculate
That's I'm at 1%. I'm at 0.1%. But yeah, so it's $300, right? So you're looking at $300 to $500, right? So if the market is inflating by 3%, 3 to 5%, you're looking at a $300 to $500 difference. So you're losing anywhere from $300 to $500 of your money. You're not losing it.
value.
You're losing it in the sense that you're losing it's not what you can do with 10,000 before is not what you can do with 10,000 now. Give you a really good example. If you remember when you were in high school, you could walk into a pizza with $2.50 and get a slice.
Imagine.
You could do that. If you go to pizza today with $2.50, you're walking out with a can of pop and a dipping sauce if you're lucky. That's what you're dealing with, right? So there has been inflation. Think about it like this: if you're old enough to remember, McDonald's used to have a day of the week special.
Amen.
Wednesdays was McChickens, and you could get a McChicken. Yeah, it was and Fridays was filet of fish. Trash. So you can get
Don't do that.
You can get a McChicken combo.
No,
you can get a McChicken combo.
Time out. Don't ever disrespect filet of fish. You understand me?
Filet of fish is garbage.
No,
you can get a McChicken combo for $5.65. $5.65 was fries, a drink, and a burger. Yep. Walk into McDonald's with $5 today. Can you even get a kid's meal?
Got a cookie.
So that's what inflation is. Inflation is this idea that things will always cost more. Goods and services will always cost more. Minimum wage will always increase. And as minimum wage increases, a lot of these suppliers have to increase how much they're charging for their goods and services.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it and saying, well, can you afford to invest? The question is, can you afford not to invest? Because at the end of the day, you're going to retire. You're going to retire. And a lot of people have this idea that, there is safety nets like pension and, all of those things. What is going to happen when our parents retire?
Oh my God.
There's a pension fund that exists. They're going to all but deplete that pension fund when they retire. And then when it's our turn to retire, how much do you think is really going to be in there? And unless you have a phenomenal job where you make an insane amount of money and you have, an incredible savings ethic, you're going to need something to rely on.
Yep.
So we all have a time limit. Do you want to retire when you're 50? Do you want to retire when you're 60? Do you want to retire when you're 70? Right? Who's going to employ you? Where are you going to live? How are you going to eat? Yep. These are the questions people don't think about. And with the stock market, you can purchase stocks. You can purchase stocks that literally pay you to own them. You don't have to call anyone. You don't have to call to turn it on. You will literally get paid, whether it's monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, to literally own something. And then on top of that, you get to see your money increase through capital gains. And if you buy good dividend companies, they also increase your dividend. So the value of whatever you put in the future will be worth more. Whatever you're getting monthly, semi-annually, quarterly, yearly will be worth more. So you have two ways to win there, right? And of course, so if you're still getting a pension and you're getting a dividend on top of that through multiple dividend sources, and you have other investments such as real estate or Toro or anything else that you're doing, you have multiple streams of income coming in towards you. This morning I was reading, I'm part of a Facebook group, and this morning I was reading about an article on this guy. He posted in the Facebook group, and it's a dividend investing Facebook group. And this guy posted that he makes $76,000 US a year from dividends. He's 52. Wow. He's 52 years old. He said he wants to retire when he's 60. He makes $76,000 a year from just owning stocks. off dividends alone. We're not talking about the value of his portfolio, which means if he decides to sell out, we're not even talking about that. He just makes
Exactly.
76,000. He makes a, what 10% of men make, 10% of Black men make in America. He makes that in dividends. So if you think that you can't make money from dividends, you're wrong. You can. You can buy companies, and these companies will continue to grow, and you will continue to make money. Now, I'm making it sound really easy. That's where due diligence comes in. The management team, what is the company doing, their actual earnings, how they're growing, all of those things matter, but you can do it.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. It's been made to seem very impossible, but you can do it. And the first thing that you got to do is create a budget and look at where your spending is going. I helped a friend create a budget last year, and this friend was spending on 1 month at Starbucks alone $180
on Starbucks
alone.
Yo, a grande tripping off at half decaf soy milk French roast caramel cappuccino is not that type of money.
Yeah, 100 and wow, the fact that you remember that, but $180 a month. And that was just in Starbucks. That wasn't only in junk food. That was just in Starbucks.
Oh my gosh.
And a lot of people, like you said earlier, a lot of people don't realize how much they're spending on junk food because it's very easy to tap and go. And you do the quick math in your head. You visited Timmy's 3 times this week, 565, 428, $950, and you're just like, that was maybe $20. In your mind, you're like, that was maybe $20. Some people were really bad with math, but that was maybe $15. And then you do that a couple of times a week, times 4. You look at what you spend.
Yeah.
Look at what you spend. And a lot of people and that's where a lot of people can turn that same money that they're spending on frivolous things into investments. You don't need a lot of money. And if you're telling me that you only have $50 a month after you take care of everything left, isn't it better to put that $50 to where that $50 can turn into 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 than to spend it?
Yeah. I agree with you, and it took some time for me to really get to that realization, and that's why, like, I love having people like yourself on here, because it's like I know how it was like being the big spender, and your priorities weren't in the right place, but now seeing what you're talking about put into practice is like, it's a game changer, because now you're looking at, okay, wow, I'm just gonna email today saying, here is your dividends off of this company.
Yeah.
Ooh. And again, you mentioned that your first your dividends was 35
cents.
35 cents, right?
From the first company. Yeah.
Okay, but and people are gonna look at it like, what's 35 cents? That's not big money, bro.
It's not. You're right. And they're right, of course.
But the fact that
it's
you
not
make money not doing anything, I think that's
exactly
what missing. I feel like that's what people may be missing. So we are almost done, because I feel like we've been talking for a hot minute. But
we have, yeah.
But I can talk about money all day. I love it.
Same, yeah.
But I have just 2 more questions. So I mentioned it before. We're now into crypto, NFTs now,
yes.
stocks, real estate. One of the questions I have for you is, like, what do you think is the best investment an individual can make right now? What do you think would be the best investment? And I'm putting you in the hot seat, but I'm hoping that you will answer this question right.
What is the best investment someone can make right now?
Yeah.
Investing in themselves. I think that before you do anything, you got to invest in your own knowledge. I know it can be very tempting. You heard about, this is the next big thing. Your friends are talking about. It can be very tempting to just take your money and throw it in, but this isn't gambling.
Yeah.
This is making the most educated guess that you can make. So you're using as much information, statistics, you're using, previous performance, which is obviously not indicative of future performance, but you're using all of these metrics that you have at your disposal to then put your money where you believe is going to have the best results. And Jeremy says something called, what does he call it? He calls it conviction. Like, where is your conviction? Where do you feel like you, not me, where do you feel like this is going to go? Like, for example, you really like Lucid Motors as an investment for the stock.
Amen.
And I owned them for a while, and the price wasn't moving. They kept on going to 24.17, 24.17, 24.17. So when they went to 25, I sold because I was tired of it, and I reinvested the money, made money. You held it, and it jumped to, I think, almost $50, right?
They went to 55. I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Look at God working.
So I didn't have as much conviction in them as you do, right? But, that's what it is. I would say for people, read a book. And if you can't read a book because you just can't be bothered, it's too much, you don't have the time, invest in Audible. Audible is $13.95 a month, and the books are literally read to you. All you need to do is listen. And I'm pretty sure, and if you, they actually tell you the length of the book. So they'll tell you the book is 8 hours. So if you listen an hour a day in your commute, or when you're working out, or when you're cleaning up the house, or whatever the case may be, you'll get that book done in a week.
Love it.
So you can actually take in this information, and with this information, then comes the power to be able to move. Once you have the information, then it varies. There's some people who make a lot of money in doing options trading. A lot of people make money doing swing trading, day trading. A lot of people make money in doing cryptocurrencies. A lot of people make money doing NFTs. But it all comes from their own individual knowledge basis on each of those things. So you got to find your lane in whatever you want to invest in. And I think that the term investment is so broad, and the term stock market is so broad because there's so many different kinds of stocks that you can invest in, right? So, I mean, you got to find what works for you. For me personally, I love dividend investing. I love making passive income. I actually keep a spreadsheet to show how much I've made year over year in dividend investing. And, it's growing exponentially. I actually started on my wife's birthday last year, I actually started a dividend investment account for her. And she doubled how much she made in dividends between last year and between 2020 and 2021. You have to get used to saying 2020. In 2020, you have to get used to saying 2022. But yeah, between 2020 and 2021, she doubled what she made. Between 2019 and 2020, I 7x'd my dividends. Between 2020 to 2021, I doubled my dividends. Right? So yeah, and I mean, it keeps growing. It'll keep growing as long as you keep buying quality companies. And if you believe in a company and there's high conviction and the price is really beaten down, and it's not beaten down for no reason, like it's not beaten down because the CEOs are doing something crazy. It's not beaten down because they reported a really weak quarter, right? It's just beaten down for whatever reason, because it happens sometimes. Sometimes it just makes no sense. Like over the last couple of months into 2022, there was a lot of sell-off in the stock market. There was a lot of sell-off. And that was because of tax loss harvesting. People were trying to sell off their worst positions to, put against their gains, right? Those are opportunities. They were. Call it what it was. Those were opportunities for people to buy. And, usually in January, there's usually, statistically over time, historically, I should say, there's usually kind of like a bit of a rally that, a lot of these companies jump. And those are opportunities for people to do what they want to do. They can sell a little bit, use that money, put it into something else. Like it's all a growth thing, long term. And, I'll say this, like, this weekend, I actually last week, no, this was 2021, end of 2021, which is actually last week. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cause today we're the first week of the new year. Yeah. I messaged Jeremy and I never thought he would message me back. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna
Who
hold you.
messaged you
I
back?
messaged him. Yeah, he messaged me back still, and I was freaking out. Like no cap, I was low key
Fangirling.
geeking. Yeah, yes, fanboying for sure. He had a son and he has kids, right? He's 32. He has kids, and he just had a son. And I said, congratulations. I'm just some random African guy to this guy, right? So, he responded and he was like, much appreciated. Now he's gonna go harder than ever in the stock market.
Yep.
Mind you, he's a multimillionaire, multiple properties. For him, little money is like a couple $100,000, right? That's little to him, right? And when I got that message back, it relit the fire that was inside me, to get to the place where I'm looking at little money as what he looks at as little money,
Yeah.
right? So in the stock market now, to me, little money is a couple $100. That's little money. To him, it's a couple 100,000, right? Once upon a time, to me, little money was a couple dollars, right? So obviously it has grown over time, based off of my portfolios and whatnot, and it will grow. But yeah, that was very motivational, because sometimes when your hero hits you back, you're just like, no,
Right.
no.
Well, we're gonna end it off, and I'm gonna end off on this question here, because again, I want to be able to give people something that they can take back. And I feel like I want to thank you, because you've done a lot. You've given a lot of gems, and I feel like if people are listening closely, that they can really look at their situation and be like, all right, cool. So this is just another like recap, or just like, I guess 3 to however steps, some practical strategies that you can give people to improve their financial, their mindset, to really make 2022 their best financial year for those who have been, let's say, a little bit in a rut, and still just trying to grow. What are some strategies that you can give the people?
Sure. First things first, you're not too far gone. You're not too broke. You can do it. That's the first thing. You got to tell yourself you can do it. The second thing you can do is, again, invest in a book. There's a book called A Random Walk Down Wall Street, and it's a guide to personal investing. Has a lot of great tips. There's also one called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. If you don't want to buy a book, you can go on YouTube and search up Peter Lynch. He has a million. He's an older gentleman, but he has phenomenal tips on investing that were prevalent back when he was really booming in the 80s and 90s, and they're still prevalent today. Tips and strategies that you can take outside of investing in your mental well-being, in terms of actually just learning what things are, like what is a stock, what is buying and selling, all that stuff. The second thing I would say is create a budget. A really great budgeting app that I can recommend that's free is Every Dollar. You get it, and it has preset categories that come already. You can delete them and add your own or go along with it. And one thing I love about Every Dollar is it allows you to see what is left after you pay everything. So a lot of times when people create budgets, they can only ever see what the amount in the account is. So this is somebody gets paid $3,000 and they have about $2,800 worth of expenses. They'll only ever see what that 3,000, and as it goes down, they're always gonna be like, oh, I still have a lot, but they have $2,800 worth of expenses. Mm-hmm. With Every Dollar, it tells you immediately you only have $200 left.
Yep.
Because even before you start paying it out, it tells you exactly what you have left. So I would highly recommend a budgeting app. And then I would say with the budgeting, be realistic. So if you already spend $100 a month on, eating out, don't suddenly give yourself a budget of $10. You won't keep it. You won't. That is what, a 90% cut? Come on, be realistic. You have to more so go towards $75 or even $50, something more reasonable that you can keep within. That means being a little bit more prepared. That means carrying a cup of coffee versus buying a cup of coffee. That means, waking up a little bit earlier to make something quick to eat. If you don't have time in the morning, like let's say you have a quick morning, you can wake up, put some eggs to boil. If you like eggs, go get ready. By the time you're done getting ready, the eggs will be ready. Take them with you. I used to do that all the time, right? You just got to find little hacks to make you spend less money so that you can actually have a way to put it in. Once those two things are done, and you got to find whatever way works for you. So if you have kids, you got to find a way to, there's always balance in everything. Mm-hmm. But remember, like Barbara Corcoran, she was able to start a real estate empire while having kids. She started it, so it's not impossible, right? It's possible and you can do it too. You just got to work hard at it. After that, I would recommend the following investment accounts, the following brokerages, so the following places to invest. Number one is National Bank. National Bank is a bank, right? So there will be, you can open up an account, and the account is, I opened up the most basic checking account, so it's $3.95 a month in fees. From that, it allows you to open an investment account. The investment account is absolutely free. There is no commission fees for whether you're buying or selling, and you can buy and sell American stocks. You can also open up a tax-free savings account through the investment account. You can open up an RRSP, that's a registered retirement savings plan. You can open up a general savings account through National Bank. It takes about 7 to 10 business days because it's, you're opening up a bank account and whatnot. So it takes some time. If you want to get started right away, you can use Wealthsimple. Yep. It'll take you 5 minutes. With Wealthsimple, they'll ask you for some information, where you live, social insurance number, and you can get started in 5 minutes. They'll activate your account and you can go. I recommend National Bank over Wealthsimple because with Wealthsimple, Canadian stocks, and they will advertise this, there's no transaction fees for Canadian stocks only. No. If you buy American stocks, if you sell American stocks, it's a 1.5% commission fee. Yeah. 1.5% is not a lot if you're buying stocks at like $1 or $2 or $5. But once you get to the $500 or $1,000 or $10,000 mark, they're taking a good chunk of your money, right? That's what I would recommend for that. For the last account that I would recommend Questrade. Questrade is $1,000 minimum to start your account. It's $4.95 for commission fees, whether you're buying or selling Canadian stocks, whether you're buying or selling American stocks. I recommend Questrade because Questrade is the most comprehensive and research-based. So you can find a lot of material through Questrade. You can do a lot of things to Questrade. I would recommend Questrade again, Wealthsimple, and National Bank. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, but for the easiest way, like you're paying no commission fees, definitely National Bank. To get started right away, definitely Wealthsimple. If you have a little bit of money, definitely Questrade. And I have all three accounts, by the way. So, and the one that I use most is National Bank. Ever since I've run out, they had no commission fees, which they started last year. And I have my accounts split over all three, and they all work for me. And I wouldn't sell out of anything to move to anything, just because there is fees associated with that. But once you do those things, if you still need help, you can feel free to find me on social media, right? My Instagram is _Ed Kamau _. Right? You can find me on that, or you can find me at Simple Dollar Investing or First Dollar Investing on Instagram, and I can walk you through. We can talk about it. Happy to help. It's not hard. You can do it. You can make this year the first year of the rest of your financial life. You can start with investing whatever you can, even if it's $10, even if it's $10 a month, that can turn into something. Just got to start.
I love it. And you mentioned creating a budget, and I actually want to do an episode with you regarding budgeting, because I find that it's very important. And again, as you mentioned, people see the 3,000 and then they see the little bits that are chunking away, but they don't see the actual that you only have $200 left. But people are already blew past the $200
correct
per day. So I would love to have you again as a guest, talk about budgeting. I was gonna say, do you have any like socials do you want to shout out, but you did that already. So again,
Yeah.
Eddy, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. Um, and I'm looking forward to what 2022 has in store for both of us, because we both have, great things on the way. Again, you shared out simple dollar investing. Guys, please, I'm gonna even put it into the visuals. I want to make sure I give all that information, because it's very important that people really take the time to seek someone who has the knowledge. And as you can see, based off of this whole episode, he has the knowledge. He's very knowledgeable on stocks, where they're coming from, how to read. He taught me a lot, hence the reason why I'm here where I'm at today. So guys, thank you for tuning into the DHomer Real Estate Podcast. You can catch me on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. You can follow my socials at DHomer Real Estate on TikTok as well as Instagram, and you can watch this on YouTube at DHomer Real Estate as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Deuces.